In this episode I'm going to make almost 3 meters of background hedgerow and a hill. So in this episode we're going to have a look at the landscape between the river and the bridge tunnel here. It's going to be a gentle slope, and on the first floor we're going to make space for a future country station. In the background I'm going to have some hedgerows, and here you see some pictures of typical Danish landscapes. I'll give you an impression of what I am going for here. In the meantime, I will have to remove some of these temporary trees and decorations around the river. Don't worry, these trees and bushes won't go anywhere. Of course, they'll be integrated in the final layout at a later stage. And as you know, I like to do mock-ups using corrugated cardboard. It's a very cheap and efficient material to use. Here's the footprint of the coming branch line station, and of course in this space between the two levels I'll have a sloping hillside. I use the cardboard footprint to outline the top layer of the foam board, which will become the hill. I construct the hill from the top down, so to speak. I use a hot wire cutter to give the rough shape of the foam board and smooth it out afterwards. You can see I use the first layer, the top layer, as the point of departure for the next layer. Outline it, cut it, smooth it exactly like the first layer. The third layer, of course, will have to fit both the second layer and the landscape where the hill will be located. But otherwise it's the same procedure. As you can see, I'm doing this indoors, and that's because I was starting to be a little concerned about the environmental consequences of doing this outdoors. I mean, of course you can clean up after you, but I'm sure some of these small foam particles would otherwise escape into nature, and we can't have that, of course. So I'm doing it all indoors, even though it makes a mess. Then the layers are glued together just using PVA glue, and it takes forever to dry. It takes a couple of days actually for the PVA glue to be completely dry. And here's a dry fit, so to speak, of the new hill, and it fits nicely. Testing again that the footprint for the station area has the right size. Here I'm experimenting with a short local passenger train. This would be a typical branch line train, and I think their overall impression is that there's space enough for the branch line station here. And of course at some point there'll be a bridge taking the branch line across the river. That's going to be a fun project at some point. And here's a flyover of the situation so far, and I think I can proceed with that. I cut out some pieces of grey cardboard, 6 centimeters wide, because I wanted to get an impression of what a country road would look like going through the landscape here. And I think it would be nice if I could make it twist and turn a little in contrast to the much straighter lines of the railway tracks. And of course the road would connect the station up here with the rest of the world. All right, conclusions so far. I kind of like the open space here, so you will remember at some point I was thinking about letting the branch line reappear here and take it round here and connect it up around this corner, take it back over here to the station area. But I think I'm not going to do that because that would sort of mess with this open space that I rather like. So instead I'm going to take it under the station area, hide the crossing of the river, and instead take it up through a tunnel here around the corner, and the branch line will reappear here, go over an embankment, cross a bridge, and connect with the station area. In that way I'll have one branch line, one road, and one main line in this area, keeping it clean, keeping it open, and hopefully in this context less is more. So I had to remove everything again to make space for the background branch line track. I had to remove some more of the scenic parts here, but don't worry, it'll all come back at a later stage. So the branch line will be constructed on the subtrack bed here, 6 centimeters wide, some sound absorbing foam board, and the tracks. So it's basically going to be a 3-meter long ramp here. The incline will be 7 centimeters from the beginning to the end, and I am using Pico A-track again, like I have done in most of the hidden parts of the layout. It's still a very easy track to work with, and I have a lot of it. Connections are really simple. It's just connecting this piece of the track to the bus wire. And of course end of the line, at least temporarily. And we have of course to test the new track. The honors goes to Railcar ML505, and it's doing a great job. Everything seems to be working fine. Time to cover all the work we've just done. The background divider here will be made out of thin MDF board, and I painted black to avoid any shine through of brighter colors. I put some tape down as a borderline between the hedgerow and the part that doesn't need any covering. And I use a combination of foam, fine fibers from stuffed animals, and coconut fibers from a sponge, and I cover it all in black spray paint, again to avoid any shine through of brighter colors. And we can now remove the tape. Time to let 1,000 hedgerow bushes bloom. At least it is a good idea to use some variation here, both in material and above all in color. It adds to the realism of the final hedgerow if you have a lot of variety in it, both in height and structure. And here we are, after adding a multitude of different materials and colors. I sealed it off with a mixture of mud podge and water, and here's the final result: 3 meters of hedgerow. Now, of course, this is only going to be the background, the basic background. There'll be a multitude of trees and other bushes and buildings and stuff in the background, so this is just to give it a basis. I used some screws to fixate the background screen to the sub track bed, and here we are, all installed and good to go. Now I had to find a solution for the landscape here, because you can see I have to have these squares filled in, and the thing is that I will have to come in low here before the hill rises towards the back, and to do that I'm going to have something level with the squares. So I cut out some pieces of foam board again. This time I just painted it green, and as you can see they fit snugly into the squares. Again, it's an easy material to work with, really. Now back to the styrofoam board hills. I gave it a coat of paint here just to cover all the whiteness. It doesn't matter that the color is a bit reddish, because you won't see it afterwards. And I covered it with the ground cover taken from my own garden, so it has the exact right color for, you know, open field in autumn in Denmark. All right, I will leave it at that. The sloping hillside here is finished. Well, of course, it's only the beginning. Lots of details need to be fixed, and of course at some point we'll have a second look at the branch line country station up here. But that's it for now, and I hope that you will leave a like if you like the video. You can of course also subscribe, it's totally free. Hit the bell button if you want to get notified when I get a new video out. And in the meantime I will run some trains, and hope to see you next time. Bye bye.